So let me just introduce myself. Oh, my name is Lori Lee. I'm a medical nutritionist, physical therapist, sports nutrition coach, and today I am your educator. Okay, so let's jump into our seminar, Anthropometric Measurements and Estimating Energy Requirements. So exciting to kasi nga magagamit nyo to. After this seminar, you will know paano nyo ang tawag dito, i-estimate yung food nyo. Ayan, may pumasok ulit. So you will know paano nyo i-estimate yung caloric intake nyo. So clear yung aking slide, no? Hindi naman ako cover, tama? So let's do some recap what we discussed last week. We discussed that obesity is complex and related to lifestyle, environment, and genetics. That's why sa iba mabilis magpapayat, yung iba nahihirapan. So it's a complex siya, a process. And we also learned that visceral fat is dangerous, yung fat na to around our abdomen. Why? We have learned that fat is the storage of toxin sa body natin. So the more fat you are carrying in your body, the more toxin you're also carrying in your body. And we also learned that total fat is composed of essential fat and storage fat. And various diseases are associated with excessive weight. So right now, the reason why yung ating health, so yung government natin, especially sa health, no, they push itong paglulose ng weight kasi hindi lang siya for cosmetic reason, but as well as yung significance siya when it comes to your health. And we also learned that multiple neurotransmitters and hormones regulate our eating. So, ano siya? So, kapag ka-stress ka, kapag may sakit ka, or merong disruption sa process na to, nagbabago din ang reaction natin body reaction natin when it comes to managing your weight. And including dito ang insulin. And dietary and lifestyle factors also contribute to eating habits. So for today, we will be covering the anthropometric measurements and estimating energy requirements. So yung sinabi ko nga sa kanina na these are the skills na binabayaran natin sa mga personal trainers, nutritionists, and dietitians. So what are these? What are the measurements that you have to be aware of? Dapat lang ba yung meron tayong weighing scale sa bahay? Or dapat meron pa tayong ibang measurement na alam? And kung alam natin itong mga measurements na to, what are we going to do with the results? And then, what can you do to improve your health based on these measurements? And how do you carry out the measurements on yourself and sa others? So, malaking bagay yung kaalaman na to kasi, especially if meron tayong kasama sa bahay ng mga relatives or friends, we will also be able to help them. And how to work out your individual energy requirements based on these measurements. Okay? So, meron akong I would like to give prizes. So may mga activities tayo. So those who will participate, I will be giving this recipe. First, yung flat tummy water recipe. This one is yung vegetable recipe, no? Vegetable juice recipe. Yung beetroot recipe. And eto, healthy snack. Peanut brittle bars. Nutritious and delicious na nutritious pa and low in calorie level pa. And the sweet treat to no sugar balls. So itong 5 recipes na to, this will be rewarded to those who will participate and sa ating mga activities mamaya. That's why I emailed you na you have to get your waist measurement, yung hip measurement, kasi as we discuss each measurement, we will do the activity. So para napapractice natin ngayon. Okay, so why we need to know these measurements? Because there are risk of not knowing these measurements. Kasi may mga ibang tao na they don't want to know their weight. They don't want to know anong waistline nila. It's because of personal reason. But sa tingin nyo ba, mas gugustuhin yung malaman nyo kung nasaan kayong health status at alam nyo kung ano yung health risk rather than ignoring the weighing scale or the tape measure? Diba? Mas maganda na yon. Why? We can do something sa problemang alam nating darating. Tama? Kesa masusurprise na lang tayo na bumulaga na sa atin na we are unprepared for it. Okay? And not only that, kasi we are also, without knowledge, kasi hindi lang natin pinuput at risk yung sarili natin, may mga collateral damage pa yan. Yung family din natin. Something happened to us, syempre, may impact yun sa family natin. So, if we equip ourselves of knowledge, then hindi lang natin tinutulungan ang ating sarili, but we are also helping our family, especially yung mga immediate family natin. Okay, so what are the risks of not knowing this measurements? First, maybe we are na serious health risk na, no? Hindi pa natin alam kasi we are ignoring these measurements. Or we are already at risk of metabolic syndrome. So itong metabolic syndrome, very important to know when it comes to weight management. Kasi we will discuss further this mamaya, no? Pero very significant siya sa weight management. And ignorance is not a bliss when it comes to your health. No? Okay, yan na nagsasipagpasukan na sila. Okay. Welcome sa mga bagong dumating. Ayan. Hi, Beth. Ayun. Buti nandito na rin si Beth. So, pasimula pa lang naman tayo. So, what is anthropometry? Anthropometry is just a simple, a fancy name for external measurement of body composition. So, this is used widespread and it is important sa role in assessing nutritional status. It reflects both health and nutritional status, and it can be it can predict performance and health survival. And knowing this measurement, you can also measure your lean body mass, fat stores, and body water. So why we need to know these other measurements? Because the scales don't tell us everything, tama? Kapag tumungtong tayo sa weighing scale, masasabi ba natin, oops, ang dami ko ng fats. Maaring sa iba, ganun ang iniisip nila. When they gain weight, they thought that they're also gaining body fats. But not exactly yung that is what really happened, no? That's why we need other measurements to support what is the reading that our scales giving to us. So scales, anong limitation ng scales? Scales do not tell if your weight is healthy or unhealthy. For example, maaaring sa height mo, yung weight mo is normal, nasa health range ka. But yung pala, you have very thin legs and extremities, arms and legs, and you are carrying heavy fat around your abdomen. So you're carrying your weight dun sa area lang na yon, na abdomen. But your scales tells you na nasa health range ka when it comes to weight lang. And the scales do not tell you where your weight is. Gaya nga nasabi ko kanina, pwede kasing, yun nga, maliit ang mga extremities mo, pero ang laki pala ng waist mo. And yun ang mas delikado. And it does not account for muscle mass. Halimbawa naman, you are, halimbawa sa mga athletes, lalo na yung mga heavy lifter, di ba, very bulky yung kanilang mga muscles. Pero when it comes to sa weighing scale, they could be categorized as obese kasi nga mabigat ang timbang nila. Because yung weighing scale, hindi nagsasabi kung ano ang timbang mo, fat ba yan or muscle ba yan. Okay? So, because of these reasons, we should never look at one measurement in isolation. So, we will learn today what are the other measurements that will support yung readings ng ating weighing scale and will give us a true health status ng katawan natin. Ayun, no? So since we now know that scale alone does not tell us enough about a person's health, these are the measurements that we need to do at home. First is your percentage weight change. So it means that kung nagwe-weigh ka, it's not enough tiningnan mo lang siya. You have to record your measurement and then you have to check if nag-change ba siya, nadadagdagan ba siya, bumababa ba siya, yung weight history mo ba, drastic ang pagtaas, drastic ang pagbaba, mas nakakatulong yon. Second, we have to measure our height. The adiposity, simply is the level of fatness ng body natin. Muscle mass, and also we need to estimate body water content and body composition. Okay, let's go to the first measurement. How do we do this? Yung percentage weight change. Gaya nga na sinabi ko kanina, yung measurement lang na nakikita natin, nagwe-weigh tayo ng scale, nagwe-weigh tayo sa scale, pero hindi naman natin nagre-record, it's not very useful. Mas useful that you record at the regular intervals, so this will tell you something about what's happening in your body. So, but remember that percentage weight change does not differentiate between lean tissue and fat and fluid, or in other words, yung body composition natin. And if you record your percentage weight change, you can also identify malnutrition or underlying disorders, especially if there's an intentional weight loss of greater than 10% in 3 to 6 months. So it's not good. Or a weight loss of greater than 5% in 3 to 6 month period when starting BMI is mababa na yung timbang mo, pero lalo ka pang nag-lose ng weight of greater than 5%. Or greater than 5% weight loss in 6 to 12 months without even trying. It means that you're not dieting, you're not exercising, there's no lifestyle changes, but you are losing weight in spite of normal same diet that you have. So if you are recording your weight and you are seeing these changes, especially dun sa mga nabanggit natin, you need to seek a professional advice, yung mga doctors, and see if there is underlying disorder in your body. And percentage weight change can also be good for setting goals. For example, losing 5 to 10% body weight is beneficial to health. So what are the benefits of just losing 5 to 10% lang ng body weight natin? According to research, this regular, pagka nag-lose ka lang ng 5 to 10% ng weight mo, it already lowers blood pressure. It improves control of blood glucose levels. It also reduces risk of angina, ito yung chest pain caused of heart disease, and improve blood cholesterol levels. So if we are overweight, it's not necessary na drastic ang ating change. Just 5 to 10%. That is achievable and very motivational. And it also is lower back and joint pain. Kasi the fatter we are, di ba? Pag heavy yung weight natin, we also put pressure sa joints natin. Okay, so yung 5% weight loss is achievable amount that can be kept up for good, and also madali lang siyang ma-reach. And I will explain later how we are going to lose this 5 to 10% sa calorie requirement natin. So how do we do this? Yung weight change is equals to usual weight minus actual weight divided by your usual weight times 100. For example, in this picture, yung first, yung before weight niya is 162 pounds and yung after na weight niya is 124 pounds. So just plug in those values. 162 minus 124 divided by 162 times 100. So that would give a 23.4% weight loss. So imagine, ang laki na kaagad ng ano na yon, ng percentage na yon. But remember that there are factors affecting body weight. It can be affected by fluid retention, edema, or ascites. It could be affected by time of the day. Totoo yan kasi maaring sa umaga. Kaya it is advisable that you weigh your body the same time every day. Or I mean, the same time as every time you weigh, dapat the same time siya. Kung every morning, upon waking up, hindi ka pa kumakain, then doon. The next time that you will weigh your body, the same dapat na scenario din. And also, if there is like yung amputation and syempre, pag natanggalan ng body parts mo, that will affect your body weight. And also, yung accuracy ng scales natin, especially if we are using the digital, di ba? Kapag mahina na yung battery na yon or luma na siya, it could give a different result. Okay, so we are finished with measuring the percent body weight. So don't worry, dun sa mga nag-register, I will give you summary of the summary of this webinar. So andun yung mga equation natin. Second is we need to measure the height. So madali lang to. Yung ginagamit dito, kasi why is it important that you need to measure your height? Height can be used to measure your BMI. And if we are older na, remember, we need to measure our height every decade. Kasi as we get older, mas lalo tayong lumiliit. How to do this? Best measured using a standalone stadiometer or one fixed to the wall. So if you don't have that, you can improvise. So ang ginagawa ko sa wall, lalo na sa anak ko, yung merong paper na dinidikit lang, parang measuring height measurement. So pwede yon. Tapos ang pang ko sa kanya sa ulo is yung librong matigas. Yon. So ang importante is how do you yung stand up. You have to stand up straight. And your heels against the wall, hindi siya yung parang nakayuko tayo or malayo yung feet nyo sa wall. And head straight, hindi nakayuko. And yon, ibababa mo. Just slightly lang na touches the top of your head and that's it. Okay, so madali lang siya. I-measure yung height. So third measurement is body mass index. Okay, so BMI. May mga ibang professionals that they don't use BMI because may limitation ang BMI. But there are pros or a positive side of knowing how to measure your BMI. It is it can use to weight to know your weight for your height. So with BMI, you'll be able to tell na am I carrying enough weight for my height? Appropriate ba siya? Or am I too parang too heavy for my height? Yun. Nakikita yan sa BMI. Also, it's a better indicator of fatness than weight alone. So, di ba kung yung scale, nagbibigay lang siya ng timbang mo, you do not know kung more of fat ba yan or more of bone ba yan or muscle ba yan. But with BMI, it can tell nasang range ka. Kung mas marami bang fats or dahil sa height mo, enough lang yung weight mo. And it's also a quick indicator of health status because yung BMI, meron yung reference table na you can see yung different ranges if you belong to a healthy weight, if you are overweight or obese na and at risk of metabolic diseases. So yung cutoff ranges is based on effect that body weight has on disease. So once you know this, your BMI, you can easily tell, oops, teka, parang ano na pumupunta na ako sa malnourishment or pumupunta na ako sa overweight category. Okay. So how to calculate BMI? Ito. The equation is simple. Weight in kilogram divided by height in meter squared. Okay? So you have a calculator with you, and if you have your weight in kilogram, start computing that. And let's check if anong category natin. Weight in kilogram divided by height in meter. So for example, an adult who weighs 64 kilogram and whose height is 1.62 meter. So this is the equation, 64 kilogram divided by 1.62 times 1.62. So the result is 24.3 kilogram. And based sa reference table, mamaya makita nyo that result is in healthy weight. Are we done na ba sa computation? So I'll go to the next ano. So you can see. You can follow ba? Sa madali lang siyang weight divided by height in meter squared. Okay, so itong ating reference table. Okay. So may World Health Organization category and merong Asian din. So because yung Asian, they have found out na yung mga Asians, even if low, mas at risk sila, even if lower yung BMI nila because genetic reason, no. And also ang mga Asians kasi, unlike mga Western and Americans, mas maliit kasi ang build natin. So since Asian tayo, if the result of our BMI falls between 18.5 to 22.9, we are at the healthy range. Okay? May healthy range ba dito? May healthy range? Okay. So if your BMI falls sa Asia, no, so falls between 23 to 27.4, you are overweight. So you are moderate risk of developing heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, and diabetes. And if your BMI is between 27.5 and above, you are already in obese category and high risk of developing heart disease, blood pressure, stroke, and diabetes. Okay? But since rampant ang obesity ngayon, they have categorized yung obesity sa class level pa. Ito yon. Oops. Ayan. It shows here that if you are obese and you're already obese and falls between 30 to 34.9, class 1 obese. 35 to 39.9, class 2 obese, and over 40 is class 3 obese. So napakataas talaga ng risk na kapag nasa obese category na dun sa yung heart disease, itong mga metabolic diseases na to. Okay? So BMI ba ang sole answer to check if our weight is our health is in a good status? As I have said earlier, there are good side para to knowing what our BMI, but there's also yung limitation niya. Yung good side niya is it is considered good way to determine if nasa healthy weight tayo. And also it is a quick, simple, and effective way of measuring and applies to adult men and women. And you don't have to be sa exact weight to be in normal range. And ano naman tong limitation na to? Usually yung limitation na to is if it's in individual level na. Okay? Ang one more is yung good for giving advice to groups of people. For example, if someone will consult sa akin, di ba? But just by knowing yung BMI nung kausap ko, I have a rough estimate of nasaan na ba siyang health status. Okay, so yung limitation. Okay, so in this picture, meron tayong dalawang two persons here. They are both the same height, the same weight. Pero do you think they are equally the same yung kanilang risk of getting the disease? Parehas kasi silang obese. Ang BMI nila is 39.9. Of course hindi, 'di ba? Kasi yung person na bulky, yung more of muscle, ang weight niya is more of muscle, not fat. The other one is yung body niya is loaded of fats. So yun mas dangerous kasi ang fat. Why? Fat is highly active, metabolically active tissue. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Metabolically active, it means it interacts with with your other metabolic process ng katawan natin. So it could damage or it could damage yung other metabolic process ng katawan. So that can cause yung mga diseases. Okay? Unlike yung muscles, hindi yan metabolically active tissue. So sa picture na to, the BMI does not take into account muscle mass, not a measure of body fatness, and hindi siya appropriate for pregnant women. Obviously kasi hindi naman yung weight nung woman is meron din dahil sa baby niya. And also, excessive abdominal fat more detrimental to health. Ano ibig sabihin nito? You may have a normal BMI, pero kapag katiningnan naman yung weight mo, it's more of weight mo sa abdomen mo. You are carrying a lot of weight around your abdomen. Mas at risk ka. Kahit pa sabihin ang BMI mo isa nasa normal range. Last week, we discussed about yung adipose tissue. And we also discussed na siya yung storage ng toxin sa katawan natin. Especially yung fat around our organ. So visceral fat. And we also discussed yung mga environmental toxin na pumapasok sa ating katawan last week. So that is the reason why excessive abdominal fat, even if you have a normal BMI, is also put you at risk of different diseases. Okay, so we are done with BMI. Now we need to measure the weight circumference because nabanggit ko nga kanina, malaking bagay ang fat around our waist and abdomen. So, sa tingin nyo, saang category kayo? Banana shape ba? Apple shape ba? Pear shape ba? O yung hourglass shape body? Parang ako dahil sa lockdown at kain ng kain, malapit na akong pumunta dito sa dito sa apple shape, no? Okay. Why do we need to know our waist circumference? Okay. Because we will be able to know where we carry our weight. Okay? So, yun nga, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, pwede tayong normal yung weight natin, maganda sa paningin natin, pero pag tiningnan natin ang tiyan natin at tumayo tayo sa scale, hindi na pala natin makita ang paa natin dahil natatabunan na siya ng tiyan. Okay? So this way, if we know the circumference ng waist natin, we will know if we are carrying heavy fat around our waist. Yun nga, yung central obesity or apple shape is very dangerous to health. Okay? And this waist circumference also is also used alongside of BMI. So this way, di ba, you know your BMI. Oops, healthy ako, nasa normal range. But dahil sa alam mong dapat mong kunin ang waist mo at nakita mo, uy, masyado ng malaki ang waist ko. Kaya pala ako baka yung legs ko or nawalan ako ng water Kaya mababa yung timbang ko, parang nasa normal weight lang, pero malaki pala ang tiyan ko. So that is also put you in a risk, put you at risk of different diseases. It is an independent risk factor. Itong waist circumference. Pag tinignan ka ng isang nutritionist or dietitian, paglapit mo pa lang at nakita niya yung malaki na kaagad yung tiyan mo, ay sasabihin niya na, napipredict niya na, oops, you have to lose weight because may danger ka ng gantong mga sakit. So, independent risk factor siya. And if malaki ang ating waist, we are also high risk of having these diseases like hypertension, dyslipidemia. Dyslipidemia is, it means yung abnormality sa cholesterol, sa lipids, and yung mga triglyceride natin. Also, mataas yung risk natin sa type 2 diabetes, yung insulin insensitivity ng cells natin, at cardiovascular disease or yung heart disease or stroke. And the waist circumference also is a better indicator of health than BMI. Okay, sandali lang, may papasok sa. Lalo na for elderly people and those of various ethnicity. Why for elderly people? We discussed last week na as we grow old, nagiging magaang ang ating mga buto and we lose also lean mass. So yung mga matatanda, mas magaang sila. So kapag may edad na, senior na, tapos malaki yung nila, or ang dami nilang fat, imagine niyo yon. Ang dami nilang fat sa abdomen nila, then talagang expect natin na eventually pwede itong makadevelop ng heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and hypertension. So remember this, itong mga shapes na to, ang pinaka-dangerous sa kanila is ang apple shape. Okay, how do we measure our waist? So measure at halfway point between lowest rib, kapain natin yung lowest rib natin, and ang ating hip bone. So halfway siya. And if you cannot find this point, measure at the fattest part of your tummy. Use a tape measure and measure against skin. Breathe out and relax. Don't hold your breath. And don't hold the tape tightly around your tummy. So wag nating dayain. Sarili natin ang dinadaya. It should be snug but not tight. And record measurements, particularly as you lose weight. This way, we will gauge if we are losing enough weight in a day, or if we're not losing, or if we are gaining more weight. And repeat this measurement 3 times to get the average. Okay. So, now we know ang waist circumference value natin. How do we interpret it? Okay. Ito yung table na to, this is the range to categorize if our waist circumference is in normal, or we are overweight, or in obese category. Sa women, okay, wait lang. Okay. So women, normal is between 64 to 80 centimeter. So sa tingin nyo, dahil I asked, di ba kanina na to prepare these values, do you belong to this category, normal, 64 to 80 centimeter? Okay, if it's between 80 to 88 centimeter, overweight na. So elevated risk na for diseases. And greater than 88 centimeters, it means you are in obese or at high risk. For men naman, 78 to 94 centimeter normal, 94 to 102 ang overweight, and greater than 102 ay ang obese category. Okay. So waist, girth, and health risk, anong relationship nila? Okay. So this is the picture of showing anong yung ating abdomen if we are fat. It's okay that we have this what we call the subcutaneous fat or yung under the skin na fat natin. But itong tinatawag nating intra-abdominal fat or the visceral fat, ito yung dangerous. Why dangerous siya? Kasi we have organs here. Sa other part ng body natin, we don't have organs, muscles and bones. But sa tiyan kasi natin, may organs tayo. So pwede siyang maging reactive sa mga sa metabolic process ng ating mga organs. Okay? And number 5, so now we know yung waist circumference natin and yung mga normal values. Number 5 na measurement that we need to do. Waist to hip ratio. Why? If you do not know your shape, if you are pear shape ba, apple shape ba, waist to hip ratio will help you kung anong category ka. The way to measure this is i-measure the narrowest place sa waist nyo, and then sa hips nyo, measure the widest part of your body. Same way sa mga men. And then, yung waist nyo divided by the hips na measurement. Okay? So, yung interpretation nito, yung value niya, if you are a woman and your waist to hip ratio is greater than or equal to 0.85, it means malaki to. So you have an increased health risk. Ibig sabihin nito, marami kang fat around your abdomen. Sa men naman, equal to or greater than 0.90. So increased health risk. So if over kayo dito sa value na to, it means you are in apple shape. Malaki. Mas marami ang fat nyo around the abdominal area. Ito. So this is how you're going to differentiate and categorize if you are apple or pear shape. Okay?